means pretty much makes it possible for anybody to do it. And I think that was really sort of the reason I often will recite or talk about these things, is mostly to point out, like, yeah, it's pretty simple. Reveal the ladder. It's pretty easy. I'm happy, if people are curious, I'm happy to talk about it.
The story of Dischord Records and doing things yourself was inspirational for me and what I did years later, and I know for so many other people. It's a good story, and continue to prove you can keep doing it.
Yeah, I was on the phone today with a guy that's some video game company. There's a little bit of a dispute, which I guess I shouldn't even talk about. Fine, I don't care. It's a video game. They're just doing a video game called Dischord Game. It's a video game called Dischord, spelled like our Discord, D-I-S-C-H-O-R-D. And it's a music game. It's a game about music. And I thought, that's a little confusing. And they have a website, dischordgame.com, which is a lot like discord.com. So we wrote and said, hey, you know, we assume you know that we're a record label, we're actually active, and we've been using this name for 30-some years. It's actually 32 years we've had the label. And he wrote back and said, like, you know, well, we don't need to get our lawyers involved. And I was like, wait a minute, where'd that come from? But anyway, I talked to him on the phone today, and it was really interesting because it worked out. I think it'll be fine. We'll see. But at some point, I said, like, what's with the lawyer thing? He's like, oh, my lawyer told me to put that in there. That's a bummer. The thing is, I don't have a lawyer. I've never had a lawyer. And I don't use contracts. I've never used contracts. I didn't even trademark shit. Just did it. And I kind of feel like there's something in there. Like, it kind of proves a point that, like, I think that sometimes people get intimidated or so caught up with the structure that they forget to actually do something. You know, and I think that things are imminently doable if you don't get freaked out by the structure. You have to make, you know, you have to have a contract, like a lawyer to figure out the contracts to sign a band. You're never going to sign a band. Sometimes you have to get past the minutes just to have the meeting. So I think that this is the kind of the ongoing thing. I just feel like keep saying, like, it's doable, let's do it. And even like this, like, you know, when you're at your show, like, you know, when you talk to me, I'm just like, yeah, okay, we can do this, whatever, right? But you know, I ask you questions. Yep. But, you know, but it's mostly like, sure, do it. You can talk to, you know, people here, like, okay, I'll be there, I'll come down. It's doable. We can do it. We don't need the Corcoran they want me to sign a release that says that, like, I can hold them, like, liable for nothing in the event of anything forever. I'm not going to sign that. It's crazy. That's nuts. What if this column crushes me? I'm going to sue the crap out of this joint. I have no lawyer. Any lawyers here? How are we doing? Whatever you want? Do you have some questions?
I think it's about time to have some questions.
Do you have any questions? Yes, sir.
I guess so, like in the early 80s, like, did you ever...
Oh, those mics? Oh.
So back in the early 80s, did you ever face any problems with Minor Threat or Dischord Records, like Bad Brains had to, when they relocated?
I couldn't understand the end of it.
I mean, did you have any problems with Minor Threat or Dischord about relocating around the time Bad Brains moved? Like, were you guys pressured at all?
Oh, to move to New York?
Yeah, or
No,
just
why?
leave the city?
Or just banned.
Oh, being banned from places. You're talking about relocate? Oh, I gotta say, the Bad Brains were huge here and greatly loved. And yes, for their reasons to move to New York in terms of, like, maybe an idea of how to make it, whatever. But they weren't, I think this idea that they were banned from every club in the city, not exactly true. And they have a song called Banned in D.C., and it sounds good. But I think, you know, I saw the band, I remember they played, there was a club called Child Herald on DuPont Circle. And I saw them play there.
College.
Yeah, well, it was actually a folk bar that kind of became a kind of college bar. And I remember that night there, you know, after that show we were talking, and he said, we're moving to New York. I was like, what are you talking about? They were, no, why are you moving to New York? It's crazy. But they were playing the Charlie Herald, they weren't banned from there. They could still be playing the Charlie Herald, that's what I know. I never, no, we never, I mean, actually, honestly, the Teen Idols, we loved being banned. We made a list of the clubs we were banned from. But mostly because I think we were being banned, it was so unjust. Like, DC Space banned us because somebody wrecked the bathroom. Well, it wasn't us. I know who did, and it wasn't us. It was an older, drunk guy who was out the wreck joints, but nothing to do with us. Me, I like toilets. Toilets are my friend, they take the shit away from me. Toilets, I'm not a tourist. So, but no, and then we were banned from the Marble Bar in Baltimore because another band wrote our name on the wall. That's wrong. The thing about us is we didn't do graffiti. We didn't write our names on walls. We didn't do vandalism. We actually knew that if there's a venue that allowed us to play music, that was important to us. Because if the venue didn't allow us to play music, then we wouldn't have a place to play music. It's so obvious. And we didn't shoplift. Like we were tough kids. There's no question. But we were tough in a way as a result of being persecuted. I mean, and I mean this very, not just big P person, but very small. I mean, to cut your hair in the late 70s was actually, you were punishable by a beating by strangers. And, and you really haven't lived until you've been like, thrown against a car in the parking lot of a Roy Rogers by a St. John's kid. Because your hair's too short. So it makes you a fag. And you're like, God damn, So yeah, at some point we said, all right, we're not, we made this decision that it was, next time a car drove past us, and some guys yelled something at us, and we gave them the finger, and they came to a screeching stop. When they all jumped out of the car and ran toward us, we would run. And then we made a decision, I know, next time that happens, and they jump out of the car, let's run towards them. And it was, so there was that aspect of it. There was a period of time where things were, it was a little tricky. And there were actually, people were being beaten up for being punk rock kids. But for the most part, we were pretty much the nicest kids around. Like, we just didn't mess with people. That was not, in the very early days, obviously things change, as things do. But being banned always felt like, that is just wrong. We shouldn't ban, we're nice kids. But when they banned us, we just made a list. And we flew that list proudly. I didn't really get banned that often. Teen Idols got banned. Yeah. Oh, I have it just printed on our lyric sheet. The list, of course. Oh.
I know that the minor threat kind of started like the whole straight edge kind of thing over, but from someone who kind of started it, like what was your view towards these people kind of following the straight edge movement?
Well, straight edge is a song that I wrote.
Yeah.
And I coined the term, I guess, in doing so. And I don't know if you all see it, the lyrics, the handwritten lyrics are in the other room. They're really funny because you can see that, like, I originally had written, I don't want to sit around and smoke the spliff. And that so clearly, relates to the Bad Brains, because the Bad Brains had gotten into reggae, or spent, so much time smoking dope. And I think that was really, a little comment to them, but then I had to, it didn't rhyme with coke. And so I had to change that. But, again, it's contextual because, growing up in the 70s, people were getting high all around me. Like I had, when I was 11, I used to sit with my friends while they were getting high. There was I just never got high. I just never smoked pot. I was not interested in it. It just seemed like a drag, when you could be building a fort or really my sense, when I was a kid, my parents, we had a refrigerator in the basement, and that's where they kept their Schaefer beer, right? And my father would sit me down to get a Schaefer beer every once in a while, and I'd bring the can up, and I would think, this beer, I have to start drinking this when I'm 18, because that was the drinking age at the time. I was like, at 18, I have to drink this. This is like adult soda, and I have to drink it for the rest of my life. And I thought, like, well, why on earth do kids want to start drinking it when they're 12? Because you have to drink it when you're 18. You might enjoy this 6-year reprieve. But you know, my friends really got into it, and then it was just ridiculous. Like the amount of time they would spend, like, how can we get some beer? Let's, you know, we're trying to get someone to buy some beer. Let's steal some beer. Or they would also, like, we gotta buy some dope. And they're like, we need money to buy dope. So they would break into cars and buy things. They would steal things like, you know, really useful things, like half of a dictaphone or something like that. Like, things that are like, you can't sell to anybody. You know? Just really random things, like, you know, somebody's like a wire clipper from a telephone guy or something. But that's all they thought about. So for me, it was just not what I wanted to do in my life. And then as I became a teenager, it became more increasingly the case. Like, everyone was just getting high. And because I didn't want to do that. And so then I became sort of an object of derision. People would make fun of me for not getting high. And in Wilson, I was called the brute conscience. You know, so I'd arrive at a party and go, oh, here comes Mr. Lecture. Like, but you know, really, they had a lot more to say about them than me. Because I was not lecturing people. You know, there's a lot of stories about me running around slapping beers out of people's hands and stuff. It's just not true. This is not true, you know. I mean, do I care about people? Yeah. And if people, like, you know, like having like a high school friend of mine, like, who like started passed out and was vomiting at school, and then like it was so passed out we couldn't wake him up. Did I think it was a good idea? No, I didn't. Do I think he should stop drinking? Probably at that point. He was in 11th grade and was like dying, you know. So yeah, I was opposed to alcohol at that moment. Yeah, but I think that by and large I just didn't do it. So then, you know, I kind of declared that. Like, as a punk rocker, that was my deviancy. Like, I was a freak because I didn't get high. I was a freak because I didn't drink. And I decided to write a song about it. The first one I wrote about was really, in the teen idol, I wrote a song called I Drink Milk. And it was a joke, you know. He said, you know, because everyone was like, let's get some beer. And I was like, I drink milk, you know. And the lyrics were absurd, totally absurd lyrics. But the response was so vicious. And I thought, all right, like, then I wrote the song Straight Edge, which is really a song about, you know, my right to live my life just the way I want to. It's about a person's right to live how he or she wants to live. That's it. Well, and ironically, was heavily inspired by a song by Jimi Hendrix, If 6 Were 9. And in that song, he says, I'm the one who has to die when it's time for me to die, so let me live my life the way I want to. And I thought, yeah. I mean, that's the reality for all of us. It's our fucking lives. We should be able to live how we want to live, barring not injuring the people next to us, right? Or any people, not just next to us. So, so I wrote the song Straight Edge about that. And you have to keep in mind that the amount of people I was singing to were fewer than were sitting in the room at the moment. It did not occur to me that this was going to be something that would be like heard outside the context of my own weird Washington, D.C. punk scene. I wasn't thinking beyond that. I certainly wasn't thinking I'd be sitting in the, you know, the auditorium of the Corcoran talking about it in 30-some years. You know, it just wouldn't occur to me.